Hello, welcome to the Grassman Chronicles, Part 2. We had a bit of a problem earlier. My neighbor decided to mess with a antenna in his backyard, and he tried to electrocute himself and blew out the power in the whole neighborhood. So, as they say, though, the show must go on. And you know what? It's my birthday, and I was like totally bummed. But I mean, Bree did her best to try to cover, and I appreciate it so much. And things happen. So, but if anybody wants to jump in, I pinned the link. You can drop in and be co-host with me if you like. Um, like I say, I apologize. Everything was so well planned, and well, I have great internet, but it doesn't do me a bit of good when I don't have power. And because I was on my main PC, that's what was streaming, and I couldn't figure out how to get in from any of my other devices. And the laptop, wouldn't go to the Wi-Fi because there's no power. And you get primitive really quick, when there's no electricity. So, but I said, I got a show to do. So I'll give folks a few minutes. I know a lot of folks are on other streams now. It's one reason why we like to do our show early. And so I hope pragmatic. I always appreciate you. Awesome. Yeah, things just didn't work out too well. I mean, we had trees stranded over there at Loch Ness, and then Bree stepped in, and then the power goes out, and then Bree waited as long as she could, but she had to go. And so I guess I didn't say enough hail Bigfoots this week or something. I don't know. I really was hoping for a really great show, and so looks like it's going to be. We'll have to piece together part 1 and part 2. Make a video out of it and call it what it is. I got plans to give away a T-shirt and everything tonight, and announce a winner tomorrow and everything, but that kind of got messed up. So there's a change in plans. We're still going to give away the T-shirt because that's what I said I was going to do. But we're going to give you a week to get the answer. So instead of 24 hours, because of everything going a little haywire, and let's say we're going to have to, probably piece together a video. And so we'll change it around to next week, providing I have electricity. I'm going to have to get a gerbil hamster wheel running over here, make sure I got power. Hopefully we'll be on next week, and we can say we can announce a winner and everything. So, but in the meantime, yeah, if anybody's out there, you want to pop on, talk about some beasties for a few minutes. Join in. Otherwise, we'll just hang out here for a minute, and everybody's busy. I'm just going to have to go it alone, and I can do it. I hope everybody's having a good night. I hope everybody had power. It was a serious buzzkill on the evening. It certainly was. So we're trying to get reset here. See if people get notification out. I do appreciate everybody that was here earlier. I see there was a lot of people here. Appreciate y'all. And again, I'm sorry. Nobody's more sorry than I am that my neighbor took out the power. So, but I say these things happen. If it would have been something I was recording, it would be different, obviously. I could have just, done it later, but doing the live stream and losing the power, and I was just totally all locked out, and it just so. But yeah, it was interesting talking with Bree. Always great to talk with Bree. She knows her stuff. Would have been nice to finish up. But I say we'll give it a second here, and I will get my notes all set back up, and we'll reset. I say if anybody's out there, you want to hop on, do a little co-hosting with me for a little bit. Got the link pinned in the chat. They want to talk about some beasties for a minute. Hello, Obsidian. Appreciate you. Much love. Just hanging out here for a few. See if people get a notification. I know a lot of folks are on other streams now, and I understand. If somebody wants to hop in, we got a few beasties to talk about left here, and now I'm going to have to go it alone. Hello, Carrie Ann. Yeah, I know it's getting late now, and people are on a lot of other streams and everything, and that's why we try to do it early. But things happen. So, but I want to finish it out. So, if anybody out there wants to join in, yeah, I had a power outage, Carrie, and just about in the middle of the show. It was really disheartening, and my neighbor got hurt too, so that makes it even worse. I can't be mad at the guy too much, you know. I mean, I want to be, but uh, you know, he had to take a ride in the ambulance. Hopefully, he's okay. But yeah, he knocked the power out, and should be okay. I'm running here, pragmatic. Back, okay. Yeah, me too. You know, he's one of my good neighbors, one of my oldest neighbors here, and he just wasn't paying attention. I guess they were messing around really close to the power and got a little too close, so he got burned, and so did somebody else over there, and so yeah, we had a whole neighborhood full of sirens and Edison trucks, and the whole place was lit up with flashes. It's the only thing keeping our houses lit up. At least we had that, I guess. They did get out here quickly, though, so I'm not going to fault them. I would do appreciate the Edison getting out here quickly and turning the power back on quickly. So hopefully the neighbor's okay, and we move on. So. But yeah, if there's anybody out there wants to hop on, the link is pinned. Looking for a little company? Got a few minutes to spare? Want to join the Grassman Chronicles history? Yeah, I still haven't had cake yet. It was supposed to have cake when my son got home, and hopefully he isn't eating it all, not leaving me any. I got a chocolate cake out there. I feasted yesterday. I had ribs yesterday. They were delicious, and slow cooked them and everything, and smoked them out real good. And but I was just too full for cake yesterday, so we ate light today, and I got room for cake. I appreciate it. I've got a chocolate cake waiting. Um, what is it? I think it's one of the Bill Knapp's chocolate cakes. I think my son brought it home from the store, so he showed me as soon as he came in. I said, "Ooh, chocolate cake!" But man, yeah, chocolate frosting, chocolate cake, chocolate, Ready for a sugar rush. Yeah, there's Bill Naps. Yep. That's my son in the chat there. Much love. Well, it looks like it's just going to be me. Again, if anybody wants to hop on, I'll wait about one more minute here. That sounds like a double rush there, Carrie Ann. That's a wake you up in the morning cake, or a brownie mix, I mean. If anybody wants to hop on, we got the link pinned. You want to join in? I know it's late. Folks had other stuff to get to. It looks like quite a few shows are on. Maya, of course. Always enjoy Maya's show too. It's another reason we tried to run our show early, because we didn't want to run over Maya, because Trees and I both like watching Maya too. Yeah, I know, Carrie Ann. I say we know better. I say it just things just happen, and yeah, I saw he got his was it the silver button, or what did they call it? Good for Neil. Way to go, Neil. 100,000. That's awesome. Always happy for everybody doing well, especially in the community. That's awesome. Just good news. Yeah, I was happy to see that 170 subs, and I appreciate every one of you. Uh, got a lot of loyal fans, and I appreciate you. I was just saying, just seems like a couple months ago, I got like a couple dozen videos now. I was pretty proud of myself, and up to 60. And let me tell you, people that have a lot of videos, it's a lot of work. Just doing simple stuff, it's still a lot of work. So always give everybody a thumb and a comment, and if you really enjoy their stuff, and you know somebody else that does, share it. It helps a lot. One of the simplest things you can do to help everybody out, just sharing their stuff and clicking that thumb. It does mean a lot for everybody. I know from starting from nothing, when you start getting picked up a little bit, start showing up on other people's feeds or whatever, you get into the algorithm a little bit. That always helps a lot. So every little thing you can do for somebody, everybody always surely appreciates it a lot. You up to 225 vids? Good job. It's a lot of videos. Yeah, there's there's a lot of big channels out there, obviously, Carrie Ann. Um, but there's a lot of us that have our little channels too, and we always appreciate everybody. I say we'll give it a minute here. And you made a video, Carrie Ann? Wasn't it your garden, if I remember right? That's right. You've got some tomatoes and stuff too, don't you? We've been enjoying some fruits from the garden. We got I've had a couple bowls full of tomatoes, made some salsa, had some peppers and everything from the garden all in it. Enjoy it. I've got my son and I both got some more stuff. We're waiting for a few sunny days to get them ripened up a little bit. We should have a couple more bowls full. Yeah, I call all those small tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, the $1 million, the grapes, any of those small ones. Those are like garden candy. It takes me back to my childhood. The neighbor always had them growing all along the fence, and they were huge. And we would just we would shoot baskets, playing basketball, and tomatoes for a snack. It was awesome. Yeah, it's always nice when somebody watches your videos, isn't it? You just gotta remember when you're putting out videos, just try to improve on them a little bit and everything. Leah, hello. Great to see you. I'm trying to get a part two here going. My stream got interrupted earlier. We had a power outage problem, so I'm just chit chatting with everybody for a minute, seeing if there's anybody out there who wants to hop on, talk about some beasties, or I'll have to finish up by myself. We had unfortunate accident across the street earlier, and we lost power for a couple hours, so we were sitting here primitive. You're gonna get me singing it too, Carrie Ann. Yeah, that's what you do. Just as you go along, just make your stuff a little better, do your edits a little better, make your cuts a little better. That's what I've been doing. I go through and instead of doing the rough cuts, you start zooming in more and make those finer cuts and spend a few more minutes cleaning everything up, running your audio through a filter, cleaning up noise and stuff like that. Makes a lot of difference in your videos too. Hope everybody out there is having a good night. Let's see. I'll pop that back on there. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I got my hat and got my tooth fixed the other day. Was all ready to go. I could smile. Got my birthday background up here and was all set. And we had an act of God befall me. So it is what it is. I wanted to hop on and thank you. Thank you, Leah. Appreciate it. Looking forward to chatting with you too. Hopefully we won't have any issues. I know a lot of people have internet issues. Usually I don't have internet issues. We do have good internet here. All hail Bigfoot. I don't think I've been dropped off the internet once. So we've got pretty good internet and everything. But yeah, when I heard it, I was sitting there just, ready to talk about Selkies and pop. I mean, it was a clear pop, and everything went dark right when it popped. And hello, Tux. Hey, if you're not busy, I'm looking for a substitute co-host. If you got a few minutes. Selkies are a type of mermaid and merman type beastie. They are shapeshifters. They can be seductive. I do have the story to get into. If Tux wants to hop on, help out, you can join in, Tux. We'll need to talk about a couple beasties for a few minutes. Oh, that sounds very nice, Tux. My best to the missus. Excuse me. Carrie Ann, it depends who you listen to. there are some stories that say they are dangerous and vengeful, and others that say they're innocent and kind. So, kind of depends. I think more the pagan stories, I think, are more kind to the Selkies, and the Christians, and especially, they had a Reformation and everything going on in Scotland too, and a lot of that stuff was kind of frowned upon, and that if it was pagan or whatever, they would all of a sudden make it evil and demonic and things like that. So, but overall, the Selkies seem to be pretty helpful, and some of them are pretty into messing around with humans and having Selkie babies, and both the male and the female versions are very beautiful, very seductive, um, very handsome. Very what would good wording be? Uh, oh, I don't want to. I don't want to say anything that's off 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 putting or anything, but they very pleasing to the eyes, I would say. Would that be the way to put it? It doesn't matter really who you are. It was, whoa, look at the Selkie that just came up on the beach, and the lady on the plane video. Is that the one that said that person isn't human or something like that? Is that the one you're talking about? There's so many ladies on planes. The video I just saw was somebody knocking on. Okay, yeah. I think she had a little bit too much to drink, and there was an incident, and I think she was just trying to make some kind of a scene to cover it up for it, because she seemed to not really know what or who she was pointing at. So, or, maybe she had medication and drank some alcohol with it or something, but she seemed to be a little confused. And speaking of confused, this lady was knocking on a car window, complaining to the driver, "You're letting your engine run. You're just sitting here with your engine running. You're polluting the air and everything." And he's panning over, and he's got the Tesla symbol on his steering wheel. And he's like, "Ma'am, I have an electric car." And she, "Don't give me that you've got an electric car business. You're polluting the air." This poor guy's sitting there in a Tesla. So, you just can't win. I think some people just want to make a scene, and so they're gonna. And I'm guilty of it myself. There's been a few times where I said some things I probably shouldn't have said, and just kept my mouth shut. But it happens. Hey, you just saw it too? Yeah. And I think, that they panic too when they're on the planes, because they don't want to get put on a no-fly list and stuff. I think that they just want to, do anything to make sure that, they don't get put on a list, because that seems to really get to folks when they get put on those lists, because they have to go through a process to get them back off the list. Yeah, she might not have been. Like I say, I wasn't sure. It just seemed to be she just wanted to single out somebody, but it didn't seem to be really the person she was sitting by in the plane. So I wasn't sure. But she got everybody's attention. Um, so did the aliens that landed in Las Vegas a couple of weeks or a month or so ago. It was all over too, blew up big. I was just watching one. I can't think of his last name. His first initials are LA for this channel, and he does a lot of uh, Nephilim stuff. And he was talking that Bigfoots are Nephilim. So good to know. Of course, he sees Nephilim in everything. So, but he includes Bigfoot. So that's what I was watching earlier. Um, oh, some people really believe stuff there, Leah. I was watching these folks telling stories about being interdimensional alien hybrids, and they look completely sober. They look right into the camera. They're not. They don't seem to be. Not in control of their faculties or whatever. There are a lot of people that they either honestly believe it or they're putting on a really good show, because they seem very sincere. And I would never doubt anybody's um, I don't like to say beliefs, their experiences, because people have experiences. And my question is usually, did they explain the experience in the best way possible? And often just jumping right to something supernatural, I don't think is the best way to go about it. But it doesn't mean I wouldn't like somebody to find a Bigfoot somewhere, or aliens to land, or anything like that. That would be awesome. I think everybody would think it would be neat. Of course, you start talking about X-Men stories and everything, and then maybe superpowers and stuff aren't always such a good thing. But I think some supernatural things that might be proven would be really neat. There's a lot of crypto things around the world, lots of ghost stories, lots of claims that people speak to the dead or can read minds. And if any of them could actually do it, I think that would be really neat. I think a lot of people would think it would be really neat. So just being, a lot of times skeptics get a bad name for being closed-minded, but I think a lot of skeptics would think, "Wow, that's neat too." If any of these things were proven to or could be demonstrated to exist, or repeatable in the case of your psychics and stuff like that, it would be fascinating. I think there might still be a natural explanation for it, like some kind of electrical impulses somehow going between brains or something, but it would still be really neat. It really would. So if anybody could demonstrate something like that, that would be really neat. Tux says he'll stop by. That would be awesome. Yeah, we can chit chat for a few. Like I say, it's still my birthday. What time is it? Yeah, it's still my birthday. So, like I say, I had a power issue earlier, and it was a little disheartening. I worked hard on the show and making the mixed up the bagpipes music and everything, and I got my hat, and I do. I'll give everybody a teaser. I say I do have a Grassman shirt. That's what it looks like, just like our intro video. And no, you won't get mine. You'll get one shipped to you straight from Amazon. So that'd be really great to send somebody a shirt that can join the elite club. Only Trees and I have one. So you'd be in an elite club having one of these shirts. So I did want to celebrate my birthday with everybody and all the viewers that I do appreciate a lot, and everybody that likes and comments. I know Carrie Ann's always there in the comments. I do appreciate it. It helps a lot. It means a lot. My numbers are pretty good. I get a decent amount of views, so people out there are taking a peek. So it's nice that folks take a look at some are more popular than others, obviously, and but a few of my videos people seem to really enjoy. So that's always really neat and appreciate it. And I do have a story. I want to finish up on the Selkies and talk about Nessie, because Nessie is obviously a famous beastie, and the whole Scottish theme, in case you missed it coming in, my grandfather was an immigrant. He came over with his father and mother and sister when he was a little boy. So I am Scottish. I have the Scottish blood. My mother used to say that's why my father and I both had short tempers. And my father and I are a little quick to, never any violence. We're not violent folk. Not Mel Gibson type or anything like that. But we do get a little hot under the collar, especially when things don't go right. And but I am proud that of my heritage. Proud to be an American, and I'm also proud to be to have Scottish roots, and I have family from many other countries too. So that's always great. But my namesake is Scottish, so I can. I have a plaid. I have a piece of it somewhere. I don't. It must be in another. But every clan or family has their own plaid, and the hat I'm wearing is pretty close to my family's plaid. So you can see it's got some green and some blue and some yellow and some red. And I wasn't sure exactly because I couldn't find. My grandmother gave me a little piece, and I've got it somewhere, but I know it's close to this. Our family's colors are all pretty much the same in the plaid. They just change a couple little things depending on the branch of the family. But yep, my family has its own pattern. Like I say, I had to look all over just to find. I do have. I wanted to show off. I wanted to show off my bagpipes. I do have bagpipes. They are working bagpipes. They're a junior set. I got these when I was a little boy from my grandfather, so they mean a lot. These they got to be like 50 years old. So I do have bagpipes, and I do have postcard when my grandparents visited Scotland. It's got the air mail on there. That was when they went on vacation. And my grandfather always loved going to there was a Scottish bakery somewhere up in Michigan. Man, I can't remember the name right now, but he would go up there and come back with all kind of Scottish pies and cookies, and he loved lemon curd on some kind of a lemon curd. Yeah, that's my. We have a picture. That's my son there. He when he was little, he had the plaid shorts on, and he had the bagpipes, and he wasn't too thrilled about posing, but it's a great picture. Yeah, you were still small enough for those little tiny shorts. Those are stashed away too. But it made a great picture. You don't have a lot of chances to bring out the junior bagpipes, and so I did get with my boy there, and I said, "Oh, we got to get your picture." So I do have that. It's one of my favorite pictures. And I had my grandfather's cousin and his wife visited from Scotland when we were little, and they came to my school as like a show and tell type thing. So yeah, everybody got to hear about Scotland, and he was dribbling a soccer ball with his foot and bouncing it off his head and everything, and just like it was nothing. And so I did meet some relatives from the homeland, and we have some because my grandfather's cousin. There are some family members over there, but they wouldn't be our last name. They might be McLarens, I believe, is the other side of the family. But I have some papers that go back to I think my great grandfather was a member of a lodge in Scotland, and I have some of the papers and stuff, so I can, if I wanted to get busy with the ancestry type stuff, I've got some leads. So somewhere over there are some kind of distant cousins, so not close relatives, but I don't know how large that side of the family is, but As far as ours, our end of the family tree is kind of dwindled a little bit. It's me and my cousins are and a few nieces and nephews. That's about it. So if there's some blood in Scotland or where maybe they obviously could have moved somewhere else, hopefully it's still spreading around because it's limited here. So, but somewhere out there is family. And Scotland does have its version of Grassman too. Uh, we'll probably cover that in another episode. We like to mix it up. We will cover Grassman. We will cover Bigfoot. We will cover Sasquatch. We will cover Yeti. There's plenty of them to cover. So, Mr. Jimmy Tux.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening to you. I was just telling everybody we had a good discussion going earlier. Bree was here helping out because Trees couldn't make it. And right in the middle of the show, we lost power. The guy across the street tried to electrocute himself. He was messing with an antenna he's a ham radio operator, and they were messing around close to the wires, and they sparked it.
Oof.
So he got burned, and one of the other guys, that might have been his son or some, he got a little bit of a haircut. He's got shorter bangs than he had, so he had a miss.
Wow.
It took out power. So, but I wanted to come back on and finish the show because the show must go on. And because it's my birthday, and I was like, I'm not going to let it get me down. I've got my stuff ready. I was just telling everybody I got my hat. It's pretty close to my family's plaid. So,
oh, nice.
I got my hat. I got my background. I've got my Scottish blanket here on my chair, and I was just showing off. My bagpipes.
I could hear the audio on that. I couldn't see the visual. But...
I've got a junior pair. They're for little.
Oh, look at that!
Little Scotties. But they actually work and everything. But
and that's your clan.
This isn't. No, this was just.
Okay.
But these were made in Scotland. It says right on the box, made in Scotland. And I got them when I was a little boy, so they've got to be about 50 years old.
Wow!
So they are officially have to be, an antique, and I still have the original box too. So it has been slobbered up a little bit. We did play with them a little bit. They're not mint or anything, but it was a good reason to bring them out and show them off. Usually they just sit in the closet in the box. So
my mother-in-law actually gave me a birthday card tonight. She thought it was my birthday. It is not my birthday. She's just losing her memory.
The thought was there, though.
The thought was there.
Yeah.
My birthday's in March, but she thought my birthday was this weekend, I think. I didn't wear my watch today, so I don't even know. I don't even know what today's date is. The 27th. Yeah, I think she thought it was tomorrow, the 28th.
Today I know what the date is. If you ask me what's the date today, I could tell you without hesitation what the date is today.
There's a lot of baby born that time of year with Christmas, New Year's being. There's a lot. I also
the cold
heard
weather
this week that on the 24th is the most called off day. Is the most called off day to work for some reason. I don't even know why. Might be because of first day of school these days. I don't know.
Either first day of school or the last day of the amusement park is open.
Oh, could be. Man, they could be.
Because I think around here, I think they go to limited operations into Halloween, and then they wrap it up for the season. So
yeah, most of the
you get a coupon for the last day or something.
I grew up in Ohio and Indiana, and trips to Cedar Point and Kings Island were very, very common growing up.
Been to both Cedar Point many times.
Many times. I've been
I'm not so much into it these days, but in my youth, we would race through and ride everything, and we were gung ho. Yeah,
I haven't been to either one since 2006. Was the last time I was at Cedar Point.
Oh, Kings Island has got a lot more shows, so you don't have to be so much into rides with all the Paramount and everything all mixed in. They have a lot of the like they would have a Cheers bar set up, or whatever's going on, so you could like be in the Cheers bar and they would play actors and all that, and they have all the is it Hanna-Barbera, I think.
Yeah,
they've got all the characters running around. So
they also had a western town that had some sort of honky tonk. Really isn't the word, but some variation of a play. What's the word I'm trying to say? Maybe an interactive play or something like that all the time as well. I also liked Kings Island. There you could pose for an old timey picture as well. I remember those always make good memories. Even though I don't have any of those pictures, I just remember those pictures being taken.
My pride and joy, I got my picture taken with a Ferengi. So
help me out. I don't know what a Ferengi is.
From Star Trek.
Oh.
The Ferengi is the one that ran the bar. They're very big on making a profit. That's what drives their species, is making a profit. So
profit is not a dirty word.
But they're Captain Caveman. My son got a picture. We're taking pictures. But when the Ferengi walked up, it was like, oh, hold on, it's my turn to go right over, put my arm around the Well, Tux, so I was explaining, we were in the middle of the show.
Okay. Got it.
And we kind of got interrupted. So I kind of wanted to finish the show. We're talking about Scotland and its stories. The first story was about St. Andrew's Church and its ghosts. And Bree and I covered that pretty well. And I figure I'll end up doing a little splice and turn this into one video. But as soon as we got started on the second story, the power went out. And I know she covered for a few, hoping I would come back, and I really appreciate her doing so. But it took them a little while to get the power back on. But I did want to shake it off. I was a little bummed, to say the least. But I do hope my neighbor's okay, and the show must go on. So how about we take a look here? I've got my story to tell here, and ask you a few questions, what you have to think about it, and have a little fun here. Let me get my slideshow back up here. Okay. Take two. Welcome, everyone, to the Grassman Chronicles. This is part 2. Joining me for part 2 as my co-host, Tux was kind enough to stop by, and I will surely add Tux's description for his channel, or his link for his channel in the description as soon as I get a chance. And make sure you go over there and subscribe to Tux. It's good to see you, Tux. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Good evening.
We had a little interruption earlier. I lost power. and there was nothing I could do. Sorry, I couldn't even turn off the stream or anything. I was locked out because it was on my other device, and so we have to do a part 2. I appreciated Bree be joining me. Unfortunately, she had somewhere else to go. She waited and waited with me, but it just took too long for them to get the power back on. So, but as they say, the show must go on, and we are going to finish the show, and we're going to dive right back in where we left off with the Selkies. And here we go. So our next story is about the Selkies, or Selkie folk, shape-shifting, seal-skinned, mermaid-like creatures. Some stories depict the Selkies as cursed by the Christians to forever be at sea because they could be dangerous and vengeful. Although most stories say the Selkies are innocent and kind creatures that help sailors and fishermen gone overboard to be rescued or help them back to land. And they often enjoy having human partners for marriage and having children with. The Selkies are described as beautiful women when they come ashore, and they shed their seal skins to take human form. Let's see. Catch up here. I think I'm a little out of sync here. Bear with me. And lesser known are the male Selkies, who are also said to be quite handsome, with seductive powers when they come ashore and take human form also. There are stories of Selkies being taken as wives by hiding their seal skins from them when ashore and coerced into marriage and bearing children. Male Selkies have been known to bear children with married women in revenge for a cheating husband.
Oh.
Still other stories say human men and women and Selkie men and women often would engage willfully in affairs and bear Selkie children. Selkie children are said to be easily identified as having webbed hands and claws on their feet. Some of the more popular Selkie stories tells of fishermen who spotted beautiful Selkie women on the beach one day. Then they would sneak up and hide one of the seal skins. Later, these went back to sea. There would be one left hiding and afraid, and because she couldn't find her seal skin. The fisherman or whoever convinced her he loved her, he would care for her, whatever the story was they would tell, and that they would be fine living on land, and they would end up taking them home to be their wife and bear children. However, over the years, they would never truly be happy living on land. In their human form, they would always long for the sea. And the stories go, either the Selkie would find the skin, or the son would find the skin and give it back to the mother because she was so sad that she couldn't go back to the sea, even though she loved her family very much. She would be overjoyed and tell her son she would always love him and the siblings and her husband, but she had to return to the sea to be happy. Although they never saw her again, their nets were always full of fish, as the seals would help corral large schools of fish into their nets for them for the rest of their days. Folklore about the Selkies date back to the 1300s ACE in texts like the Icelandic sagas and the Orkneyagia saga that describe the Selkies as supernatural beings who could shed their seal skins and become human on land. Many of the folk tales on Selkie folk have been collected from the Northern Isles, Orkney and Shetland. In Orkney lore, Selkie is said to denote various seals of greater size than the gray seal. Only these large seals are credited with the ability to shapeshift into humans and are called Selkie folk. Selkies are considered children until 49 years of age. Teens then between 50 and 299 years of age, and then adults at 400 years of age. At 10 years of age, a Selkie gains the ability to shed their pelt to become human. Selkie are able to transform into a human by shedding their seal coat. For most non-magical Selkie, this transformation is very draining, and many can only shapeshift into a human once every 7 years. Some Selkie have learned how to shapeshift more often, though, through magic. They have powers of healing and prophecy, control over the weather, and the ability to shapeshift are all magical abilities that are also attributed to the Selkie folk. Selkie folk were not just mythological. There were and are people who say they are descended from the Nordic sea folk that would visit northern Scotland as far back as 800 ACE in their seal-skinned kayaks. For the common observer, seeing these strange folks from far away with seal-skinned kayaks would seem to lend a lot to the stories about seal-skinned creatures. Most of the island families that claim to be descended from Selkies are now in Canada or America, following the mid-Victorian clearances in Scotland, when entire communities of Gaelic crofters were evicted to make way for the landlord's sheep. The Selkie stories are probably the clearest evidence we have that Sea Sami people ever visited the islands of North Scotland. The Sea Sami tribe that once lived in Norway has now disappeared. Almost none of their fragile artifacts or kayaks have survived to prove that they ever visited Scotland. 200 years ago, under intense pressure to assimilate into the mainstream culture, the Sea Sami way of life disappeared. The last recorded mermaid sighting was also 200 years ago. Both mermaids and Sea Sami disappeared at exactly the same time. So what do you think, Tux?
And I saw Little Mermaid once. I saw a documentary that was exposing that there are that the U.S. Navy did some sort of experiment and they had mermaids wash up, but clearly at the end when they showed the footage, I was like, okay, this is not legit.
They got a bad rap for that one.
I mean to tell you, it seemed plausible the way they were telling the story and everything, and then they showed the cell phone footage that some kid recorded, and I was like, oh, come on, give me a break.
Well, what struck me that would make a lot of sense was the sealskin kayaks. Because if you had never seen that before, and they were all in the kayak, and the sealskin kayaks get waterlogged, so they're real low in the water. So all you would see was, this person kind of popped out of this seal skin that they used for their kayaks. And obviously that would trigger some stories to be told, about these human-like seals that are rowing up on the shore. So I could see where it could, where the story could originate. And a lot of seafaring areas and cultures, they all seem to have mermaid type stories where maybe a lucky few would, survive a shipwreck or whatever. and it would be attributed to something supernatural.
Yeah.
And of course,
Do you believe in this this human shape shifting being? Is it purely imaginative? Is there a grain of truth, much like the dragon? There's plenty of examples that could be the dragon,
I
for
I look
instance.
for some hints of where the story could come from. Yes,
Yeah.
I don't think that anything supernatural has been demonstrated, but maybe someday it will.
Yeah, it's a separated, a potentially separated, or isolated, maybe is a better term, much like the Galapagos discoveries, where the evolution of you know how something individual is very similar to something it used to be connected with and went on its own path. And who knows? It could be just another version of what we refer to as Neanderthals in a, a different subset of Homo somethings that had propaganda against them on why we shouldn't, like you had mentioned, that the Christian had forsake. They were a subset that we want to disassociate with. They obviously, like the scene in Monty Python, bring out not, the witch trial scene. You know, basically, if you're looking for a reason to disassociate with them over there, let's create some nasty propaganda, and then somebody comes along and asks you some philosophical questions about it, uses the Socratic method on you.
Well,
It must
I
be a duck.
I think the wording was a little dated because it said Eskimo, and I didn't want to use that. I think it's a
Yeah.
dated term, but Eskimo like
Yeah.
peoples were the ones that were coming down, so they would have looked a lot different.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense. A I mean, anytime you're unfamiliar with somebody's language, which there's definitely a difference in their language compared to the Anglos. So that's kind of the way I would reconcile it.
Yeah,
Whether or not it's folklore and mythology versus real, like I'm sure there's a grain of truth in it.
it seems to be the story kind of merged with the mermaid stories that
Hmm.
seem to be I say pretty much anywhere there's water, there seems to be a mermaid or a merman. I guess the other would be my other note on it is that I think sailors are also very lonely at sea
Hmm.
because manatees were also described as mermaids, and that's quite a stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Um, so I think if you've been at sea long enough, uh, male or female, whatever catches your eye seems to appear a lot more frequently in a lot of things.
Yes, I just tonight had a situation where the shadows were playing tricks on my head. And just the way your mind builds a picture from what you're visually seeing is itself a trick. I forget what that's called, but the neurosciences behind it is is some variation of it, the amount of time that it requires to completely complete the picture as it is versus it cheating and building the picture the way it thinks it is can sometimes, and I think some of the neurofirings in your head kind of follow that pattern as well. Like our
When you
dreams, I don't know if you're a heavy dreamer. I'm a heavy dreamer, but the crap that goes on in my head, like if I suspected any of it was in reality, I'd be in trouble.
when it,
Christopher Walken,
when
an
I do have
old
a dream, it's very vivid though, and it
yeah.
messes me up all day. Yeah, like running into a dead relative at the store type thing, and then you wake up and you're like, did I really go to the store? It's one of those type things.
Yeah, Christopher Walken was in my dream last night.
Oh, that'll mess you up.
Yeah. Like
he's still alive and well. So
yeah, still alive. He was a little aged in my dream. Yeah, it's funny because he was in the dream, and then he disappeared for a little while, and then he concluded the dream with figuring out some sort of electronics, and everybody was impressed that old man Walken got it to work.
I thought you were going to say more I thought you were going to say more cowbell.
More cowbell. I can't hear Blue Oyster Cult without thinking of that skit. And he was like, yep, I got it figured out. And then it showed that somebody was doing it remotely on a tablet right behind him and winked. And it was almost like a living sitcom was in my brain last night. Like I don't know. But yes, the pareidolia of being lonely at sea. What's this? Who's this?
That's Trees.
That's Trees.
He's on the lookout.
That's funny.
That's my co-host. He had some other things to take care of, and I said, "Hey, you take care of your things, and we'll see you next time." So
he definitely looks a Nordsman.
But we wanted to make sure we included him, and the reason we wanted to include him. Well, I think we've covered the Selkies. It's a nice story. There's nice stories, like I say, rescuing the sailors, and it's kind of worth a chuckle that they're there for the wives to get revenge on their cheating husbands. I think maybe early type romance novel stuff maybe was being passed around that yeah, he's done you wrong, but Fabio or whoever's out there for you,
Mm-hmm.
So I think with the mix of things, I can see where the Selkie stories come together. But overall, not a bad beastie. Seems to be all in all not a bad beastie. So we'll give the Selkie a thumbs up.
The Selkie, the bronze statue. The bronze statuette that you had in your slideshow, that looks like an interesting pilgrimage type of.
It's in a lot of photographs, so it's someplace that's people visit because there's a lot of photographs of it.
That looks like something to do a pilgrimage to. There's a chance I'll be visiting the UK a lot over the next 2 years, so we'll see. We'll see.
So the reason we have Trees joining us because I wanted to give away a T-shirt and
free swag. I think you demonstrated this on Ember's channel the other night.
Here's the there we go. It's got the Grassman Chronicles on it, just like for our intro video there. And no, you're not going to get this one. It'll be a brand new one shipped right to you from Amazon. I think the one I haven't tried, others, but this one that I tried, they did a good job. Got it to me in a couple days, so we'll do it again. And Trees and I own one, and nobody else. So if you would like to win this t-shirt and be a part of the exclusive club, which then there'll be only 3 of us in the world, this is what we're going to do.
Wow. I have a question. I'm not a huge t-shirt wearing guy. I wear an undershirt under my dress shirts, and then most of the time I wear something that's a little more hiker friendly, that's non-cotton. But I did see Religion for Breakfast had a nice little history lesson about the You've Been Left Behind, and the series about what's it called? Origins of the Rapture. And my question to you is does this guarantee me either staying or guarantee me being swept up in Jesus' return?
Jesus is included in the Grassman Chronicles, so I can't rule out Jesus's return.
Oh my goodness!
But getting back, I wanted to say that we wanted to have some fun because it's a special Scottish episode because I am Scottish. My grandfather was an immigrant, and like I say, we've got our hats on, so you can see Trees has got a Scottish hat on too, and we thought it'd be fun to give away a T-shirt, and Trees thought up a fun little game to win the T-shirt, so I wanted to make sure he's here with us. So
nice.
Here it goes.
I'm 2 English families. One of the English families would be Scotland at the old Scotland border, not the current one.
My family's more, I guess, from the Highlands. So
from the Highlands, yeah, they would be. It's considered Northern England, but I guess he was a pretty well-off guy. Supposedly, he committed suicide, and the crown took back the land and castle. But it is the family's declaration that he was not. He did not commit suicide. That the king had him thrown out of a window and called it suicide. So who knows? But
I know there's a lot of castles in the area, either country. So if you want to go visit some castles, it's the place to go. That's for sure. But here's what we're going to do. Now, if you want to win this T-shirt, you pay close attention. All right, everybody ready?
Yeah.
Take notes, and I'm going to put a ticker up so you'll be able to get it. In last month's episode, when we were covering the Betty and Barney Hill abduction story, Trees mentioned the name of an Air Force base. You need to name the Air Force base. And you want to put your answers in the comments section for last month's episode, because that's where the answers are going to be drawn from. We set the comments to go right to a file, and that's where we're going to draw the answers from. Now, because things kind of got messed up a little bit today, we were going to do it in 24 hours, but I decided having to probably put the video together, and because folks got cut off earlier, we're gonna run it for a week. Okay, so there's no rush. You've got 1 week, and next Sunday, that will be September 3rd, 2023, we'll pop on live and we'll announce the winner of the shirt. So again, let me get my my helper tin up here. There we go. You want to go to last month's episode That's the second episode. And during the Betty and Barney Hill abduction story, Trees mentions the name of an Air Force base. You want to name that Air Force base, and you want to put it in the comments section for last month's video. Not on this video. Don't email it to me. The rules are you have to put it in the comments section for last month's video, because those comments are set to go to a folder so we can draw the correct answers from. And you have a week to post the correct answer. Answer as many times as you like. I don't care. We're only going to draw from the correct answers. So if you put in 50 wrong answers, good for you. We're only going to pick from the right one. So name the Air Force base, put it in the comments section, and next Sunday we'll have a little live thing. Maybe Trees will be back from his Loch Ness adventure, and he can join us. We'll see. I have to check his schedule, but we're going to give you a whole week. So if you don't know the answer, you got time to go look at the video. Put your answer in the comments section for last month's video. Okay? And good luck, everybody. I'm looking forward to giving away a t-shirt. Okay? And they come in plenty of sizes, so it's not a problem. Whatever size you want. I got it on a black t-shirt. If you don't want black, I give you a different color. I did black because it's a black background and it matches, so I thought it looked good. But if you wanted a different color, we can check the colors. There may be some options, but we'll see. You might just have to settle with black. But I'll try to accommodate as much as possible to the winner, okay? So I appreciate you, Trees, and we hope to see you soon. And because you cannot talk about Scotland without talking about the Loch Ness Monster, we have to cover the Loch Ness Monster. Because who doesn't love the Loch Ness Monster? Our last story is for this special Scotland episode, a celebration episode. I hope everybody had a good time earlier, and now when we get it all back together, we'll make it work, okay? So I'm glad everybody could join us earlier, and everybody joined us now. I see Pragmatic and Azo and the Trusty Ape and Carrie Ann and Leah, and we got Renee and Obsidian, and of course Tux, who joined us. Thank you again for joining us, and I appreciate everybody that joined us at this late hour. Usually we try to do it a little earlier, but we're going to get it done. Let's see, where was I? Okay. Our third story in this special Scotland episode is on the Loch Ness Monster, also known as Nessie, that was made the official nickname for the Loch Ness Monster in 1940. Nessie is not only Scotland's most famous beastie, it is one of the most famous lake monsters around the world. Nessie is believed by some to inhabit the waters of Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands, from where the Loch Ness Monster gets its name. Loch Ness, or Lake Ness, is an elongated freshwater loch in the Scottish Highlands, southwest of Inverness. It is approximately 37 kilometers or 23 miles long. It flows from the southwest to the northeast. Loch Ness lies along the Great Glen Fault, which forms a line of weaknesses in the rocks which have been excavated by glacial erosion. Its deepest point is 230 meters, that's 126 fathoms, or 755 feet, making it the second deepest loch in Scotland. And if you look at the map, you can clearly see the big crack running right through. And that's where a lot of these lochs and rivers are all interconnected, because of that big crack running right through there. And right in dead middle of it, almost, that is where Loch Ness is, and it runs right along the crack. Loch Ness is known to be inhabited by the European eel, northern pike, three-spined stickleback, brook lamprey, the Eurasian minnow, Atlantic salmon, sea trout, brown trout, and the Arctic char. Loch Ness also has lochs. It sits above sea level and is interconnected to other waterways and eventually to the sea. That is Loch Ness in the background, and it has lochs to interconnect to other waterways. Nessie sightings near and in the loch and the River Ness go back as far as the 6th century ACE in a story retold and recorded 100 years later about an Irish monk named Columba, who heard about a man that was killed by a monster in the River Ness. The monk had a follower swim across the river, and when the beast approached the man, he made the sign of the cross and ordered it to not touch the man. The beast stopped as if held back by ropes and was seen as a miracle. The sightings in 1933, however, is what put Nessie on the world stage of cryptozoology. In headlines in different newspapers were reported sightings by folks like George Spicer and his wife of a large creature with a long wavy neck, closely resembling the plesiosaur in the newly released King Kong movie of 1933. The sighting by Aldi McKay of a large whale-like animal spinning and churning the waters in the loch before disappearing in the bubbles while driving with her husband. She also later stated she had known about the oral tradition of a beast in the loch. And Hugh Gray, who claimed the first picture of the Loch Ness monster, although it was blurry, appeared to be a dog's head above the water, and since he would often take his dog walking at the loch, he most likely took a picture of his dog swimming. Although these claims were all of a monster in the loch. The following year had more sightings. In 1934, Arthur Grant was riding his motorcycle when he claimed to have seen what he described as a plesiosaur on land with something in its mouth that then hobbled to the loch and disappeared into its depths. However, at night with poor lighting and by the way Grant described its actions, experts said it was probably otters or possibly seals that do live in the area. Also in 1934 was the famous surgeon photo of Nessie that is the most widespread photo of Nessie, and that's the one that's on the screen now. I'm sure everyone recognizes it. That is the Loch Ness monster picture. And it was seen as a good source because it was taken by Robert Wilson, a London gynecologist, a respected doctor. Yet years later, it was released the monster in the photo was actually a toy submarine dressed up to look like a beastie. And analysis of the photo showed the object to be no larger than 60 to 90 centimeters or 2 to 3 feet long. And if you look, they kind of measured by the water and everything, and they said, no, this, and if you kind of look, you can see, yeah, it does look small in the waves there. So, but they are not alone. Many other hoaxes and purposely bad photos of Nessie have surfaced over the years as well. Many of the sightings seem to describe a large snake-like or eel-like creature, with others describing it as looking like a plesiosaur, a long animal with humps showing in the water. However, like the dinosaurs, marine reptiles went extinct about 66 million years ago. There have been many ideas proposed of animals living today that may get into the loch. Some sharks, like the bull shark or Greenland shark, can tolerate fresh water, and some catfish can grow to be enormous. And there is always the possibilities of other predators like seals following prey from the ocean that can tolerate fresh water and then return to the sea, that may account for some of the sightings of something large in the loch or river Ness that may also come and go from the sea or river or other surroundings, and would explain why they are not always spotted or detected. There's also the possibility of a dog or a large bird or some other local wildlife taking a swim that could be a real animal swimming in the loch or river for various reasons. There have been many claimed sightings of Nessie, way too many to mention here. If you're interested, a quick Google search will bring up many sightings of Nessie. And to satisfy the curious, numerous researchers have scanned the loch from the early technology of folks just stationed around the loch with binoculars and cameras to sonar runs over the decades of the loch have been done over and over, like Operation Deep Scan in 1987, when they lined the loch across with equipped boats and went end to end with no positive results showing anything large living in the loch. In 2018, a DNA survey was done, and the results showed no large fish such as sharks, sturgeon, and catfish could be found, and no evidence of any reptilian sequences were found. There is, however, a lot of eel DNA in the loch, and for most of the sightings, it would seem to be a large eel is what they probably saw. Some seals possibly chasing prey from the sea, or a floating or surfacing log or other debris. And sightings since 1933 of Nessie may be similar to the plesiosaur-like beastie shown in the King Kong movie in 1933, planting an image in people's minds. And just as a side note, I saw the King Kong 1933 movie at a library showing when I was a kid. It was, I was excited to go. My mother said, "Hey, you want to go see King Kong?" I said, "Yeah, I want to go see King Kong." So it was a good memory. The libraries used to have a movie night or a movie afternoon, and that was a lot of fun when we were kids because, we didn't have cable and all this fancy stuff back then. So somebody showing a movie was a good time, and yeah, we went. For now, though, whether it's a real beastie in the loch or a beastie from fiction, folklore, fantasy, or a misidentity, Nessie is still a very popular beastie. With the towns surrounding Loch Ness around the urban area of Inverness in the Highlands of Scotland have cashed in on their famous cryptid. The Loch Ness Monster, nicknamed Nessie, is responsible for nearly 42 million in goods and services annually, according to the BBC in 2012. So just in case, keep an eye out when at Loch Ness. As we had trees on location, he was trying. I mean, we've got photographic evidence here, okay? He was really, really, really trying to get a spotting of Nessie, but no luck. So better luck next time, trees. We do appreciate your effort and all your hard work there at Loch Ness. It's a shame Nessie didn't show. But you never know whether you're at the Loch Ness or if you're in your own backyard, where Nessie might show up. So keep your cameras handy, because you never know. So what do you think, Tux?
Yeah, is that your Zen pond back there?
That is my pond.
Nessie,
and,
Nessie, stop by your Zen pond.
My Nessie. I made that myself. I couldn't find one to buy, so I made one. That's brilliant. It's one of a kind. It's a pool noodle covered with rubber paint, and I made some ears and eyes on it, and you can't really see the humps, but it does have a couple humps hidden in the plants there. So, but yeah, Nessie. Most of the stories about Nessie are not bad. There's very few that are bad. Most of them are just something they saw and then it was gone. Nessie doesn't seem to really bother anybody. And there are a lot of seals in Scotland, as we were just talking about with the Selkies. Tales about seals are aplenty. And if you caught the opening or in the promo video with the views of Scotland, there's a shot where you see some large gray seals, and they are very big seals.
You had a preview video going on the other stream. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep. And and showing all the shots of Scotland, I made sure to show the shot of the seals in there. So there is a lot of seal lore, and you can get seals and many other things, migrating fish. There's a lot of possibilities because they are interconnected with the sea. So there's a lot of rivers and lochs. Lochs is lakes. That's Scottish for lakes in the area. And a lot of them are interconnected with the sea. So there's the possibility. So what do you think? Are they just seeing live animals, or are they just seeing a log and are just want to be in on the sightings gig?
When I was a kid, it seemed like the Loch Ness monster had a legitimate chance of being real. And then I saw a documentary, I want to say, in the late 90s, maybe mid 90s. And they kind of took apart the fact that this picture of Loch Ness monster has probably been faked and exposed it for what it is, but that the way it lives in our imagination, Loch Ness monster is real. I'm going to go with.
I used to hear that it was a dinosaur or marine reptile that was landlocked. But then later when I learned that it's not technically landlocked because you can get from one to another, I think that kind of took away the land of the lost image, where these isolated environments were just cut off and somehow dinosaurs or marine birds or reptiles or whatever.
There is a movie that I watched.
We're still in this little niche somewhere,
Yeah, there's a movie that I watched about, I want to say it came out around 10 years ago or more. And it was imaginative. It basically was an egg that washed ashore. A kid kind of took care of it during World War. It was during World War II. Had a nice little love story with Loch Ness monster, or the heir apparent to being the Loch Ness monster. So
now, as far as dating way back, I don't really know what would attack a person unless a bull shark or something got in there, because otherwise the fish and the eels really aren't all that dangerous, and the loch doesn't really sustain a lot of diversity because it's so deep.
I believe
and
we've
the
had.
sides are so steep, you don't have, your shallow areas and everything. It's all or nothing in the loch.
I believe we've had multiple bull shark attacks here in Illinois, in both Mississippi River and Lake Michigan has had bull shark. Maybe not attack, but sightings, verified sightings. So if it can happen here in Illinois, I would imagine bull shark in Loch Ness is pretty easy to imagine, unless
Yeah,
it's just plain
because
too cold up there. The waters are too cold for them to get into the inlet.
we've got the Greenland shark too, so it can tolerate fresh water and it can tolerate cold water. So,
Mhm.
although I don't really know if they attack people either. They're pretty docile, but that was the only thing, is it was the story about somebody being killed by a beastie. So that one was trying to figure out what that one is a toughie, because and especially in fresh water, usually you're not dealing with too many dangerous animals. So unless you're in the tropics, obviously, but I don't think you'd have any alligators or large snakes or anything like that to worry about. So that was my only thing, is what could have killed that man that had them concerned.
Huh.
Otherwise, though, Nessie seems to be pretty lovable. I say, other than that, and very few others, Nessie seems to be like a lot of other cryptids. Just wants to be left alone. If it's discovered, it seems to scamper off. Doesn't turn and fight. So all in all, Nessie's not too bad. Not Doesn't seem to be dangerous, and I don't think Nessie could be blamed. At least not a plesiosaur could be blamed for killing that man 1,000 years ago, because they were extinct. So
I just did a quick Google search. The shark attack in 1955. It is not impossible that a bull shark attacked a boy, but it is highly unlikely. It is believed it's very unlikely. But the story still circulates today. And then I know for a fact we've had Mississippi and Ohio River reports in Illinois.
well, the Bree and I were talking, and she did a show about it too, about the canals off of New York, where the shark got in and killed some folks, and that kind of inspired the story of Jaws to be written.
Mm-hmm. And that makes sense.
So it is. I say that a lot of your cryptids, have quite the story to go along with them. But the Nessie story doesn't really seem to have a lot to go with it, other than it just wants to be left alone, and when it's spotted, it ducks under the water and it's not seen again. And I wanted to add, there's my grandparents took a vacation to the homeland one year, and my grandmother told a story. They went to Loch Ness, and she was looking out on the loch, and sure enough, she spotted the Loch Ness monster. She gave a lot of details. She told a great story, and it always ended with, or maybe it was a log. So it was always a great story for her to tell, and may she rest in peace. I sure do miss her and my grandfather and all the old stories.
Brilliant.
They're precious memories. So,
Brilliant.
but it was a great anecdote. I had to share it.
Or maybe it was a log.
Or maybe it was a log.
That's
and she told it, with a straight face, that she saw Nessie. You know, she would tell the whole spiel, what it looked like, where it was, how fast it was going. You know, she had the whole story, and then, or it was a log, and it was just fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like the plot of the story of the what's the name of that movie where he's sharing a boat with the tiger.
Oh, yeah, The Life of Pi.
The Life of Pi. That's it.
Yeah.
That sounds like essentially a good 1 minute summarization of The Life of Pi. Or maybe it was just us surviving. Which story would you rather hear?
My grandfather was always a fan of Scotch tape. He would always say, "Good old Scotch tape," like it made a difference that it was Scottish, you know, because the Scotch tape. I don't know if they still do, but it used to have a plaid on the box.
Yeah, I very much remember that. I have not. The only time I use Scotch tape is at Christmas, and honestly, I'm just handed a commercial. I'm handed a commercial roll, but the missus buys the tape, and I'm not sure she buys the brand Scotch tape.
I think it's a green box now, but it still has a little plaid little strip on it. I think.
Yeah, I remember it being a burgundy reddish when I was a kid, and then it was green. I don't know. It's been green for nearly 20 years, I'd say.
In case it doesn't make the cut, I did want to show these off again, just in case. I do have a set of bagpipes. My grandfather gave these to me when I was a little boy. It's a junior set. They actually work though. It's got the bag here that you put under your arm, and then you fill it with air with this, and then you play it like a lot of other air instruments. You know, you've got your air holes here, and we did play with them a little bit when we were kids. The mouthpiece looks a little chewed on and everything, so they were played with a little bit, but mostly they've sat in a box for about 50 years. So these are, a somewhat genuine antique, whatever the word would be. I mean, they're very old.
And is the bladder on it?
Let's find out.
Okay.
Still holding air.
Still holding air.
Mm-hmm.
What would a 50-year-old junior set bladder be made
of? Let's see. It's it looks like a synthetic leather.
Synthetic leather. Okay.
Is on the inside there. So yeah, it's held up very well. 50 years, still holds air.
Yeah.
And it was stitched. So it's it's stitched over.
Huh.
So yeah, the handiwork held up. And this is not how do I fold back up? Okay, like that. Okay. And this is not made in China. You can see, can you read it?
Make full screen. Oh, there we go. It just focused in, complete with instrument, made in Scotland.
Made in Scotland. And it's got my name right on there.
How about that?
Yeah, that's a very, very old gift. This is still the original box and everything. Of course, it's not mint condition or anything like that, but still has the box. And I dug it out of my closet because how often do you get to show off your junior bagpipes, right?
Yeah.
So I dug
Ooh.
them out, and there they are. It's a great memory. I'm not musical. I never claimed to have made anything other than a squeak with them, but it was a gift, and it means a lot to me. So
When we immortalize you and your museum, your captive desk museum is thriving
I
and striving.
I hope Deconverted Man didn't get a hold of that that bit with the bagpipes. I might be in trouble. He'll make me a bagpipe song or something. And
Yeah.
well, bagpipes too. Whenever I hear bagpipes, it takes me back to my grandfather playing his old 78s on the Victrola.
Mm.
So often on holidays, they had a finished basement and it had a full kitchen and everything in it. So a lot of times, if all the family was coming, and that we would all go down the basement. And in the one room, Grandma had a piano, and it was set up like a little sitting room, so you could sit around and listen to the piano. And that's also where the record player was. So we knew we would be dining downstairs if we came in and heard the bagpipes playing from the basement. So otherwise, we would eat up. If it was a smaller gathering, it was upstairs. But for the big ones, we were downstairs because it was a really big basement. They had the basement, I think, was bigger than their house. It had to run out into the yard or something. It was a huge basement. So it was good times. And I'm proud to be an American. I'm also proud of my heritage. I have Scottish heritage. I also have German heritage, Polish heritage, and French Canadian heritage. My grandmother her maiden name was Perrier, and I don't think you could get any more French Canadian than being named Perrier. So
how about that?
That's where I come from. If my kids or anything ever get this video when I'm gone and can't remember, here you go. It's immortalized on YouTube. That's my ancestry. My grandmother used to speak fluent Polish, but she never taught my mother because the ladies liked to speak in Polish when they didn't want the kids or other folks to know what they were saying. So my mother never learned it, so I never learned it either. But when Grandma was speaking Polish, you knew she was either talking about Christmas presents or maybe her boss or something like that.
Yeah. Polish is frequently spoken in the Chicagoland area, without a doubt.
We always ate good. Grandma would make pierogies, and unfortunately, I don't have a recipe because she didn't have a recipe. She made it by eye, so it's one of those things that's lost. But I do miss the cookie sheets full of pierogies ready to be browned in a pan. That was good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, we have Polish. I had Polish on Tuesday. I had Polish on Tuesday. We didn't have pierogies. I did have pierogies on Friday. I had pierogies Friday.
If you don't know what a pierogi is, it's kind of like a ravioli. It's a stuffed. You boil it and then. I guess you could eat it that way. We always topped it off by frying it up in the pan with some butter to put some brown on the outside.
Yeah, a little bit of oil, a little bit of bacon, a little bit of cheese, and it's like a pillowy potato dough, mashed potato.
Yeah, the dough is part of the secret. You want to have that nice, tender, flaky, like pie crust type, where it's very decadent to go along with whatever filling. The fillings are countless. My grandmother made cheese and onion, so that's what we got. But
yeah, we put the cheese and onion on the outside and the potatoes on the inside. Here, every once in a while, we'll get the cheesy potato ones, but not very often. I'm sure in the freezer upstairs there's two or three or four packages of pierogies in some form.
My grandfather would get a hankering, and there was a bakery up in Michigan he would go to, and he would get the mince pies, and he would buy enough for everybody. So we got them, and my uncle and cousins and everybody, we all got mince pies and cookies and marmalades, and he would stock up when he would go up there. And if you don't know what those are, it's like a really spiced up meat that's put into a pie.
If you're listening to this and you're not familiar with how it works, I know we're mentioning like 4 or 5 foods, but trust me when I say it's a combination of Thanksgiving and the 4th of July with Polish food every time there is so much of it, but it's cooked more like it would be something that's on a grill, much like American 4th of July. But it fills the table like Thanksgiving does. I don't know how it happens. Like you buy a couple things from the thing, and then before you know it, the entire table is full of food like it's Thanksgiving time. It is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. If you want to prove to me the supernatural exists, explain to me how Polish food goes so far and expands so large in such a way. It is a phenomenon.
A lot of Polish weddings, and
yes.
I had an uncle that was in the top management for one of the big halls in town. So whenever there was a family wedding or whatever, he of course, hosted over at that big hall. So it was always a nice big event, and lots of food, lots of dancing.
Yeah. So
a lot of Catholic masses. I had to go through high mass when Uncle Frank passed, and they were a little short on pallbearers of the right, because a lot of his folks were too old or had already passed on, so it was us youngers. So I said, I'm not Catholic, and they said, you just follow along. So I was up and down doing the kneeling and everything, and but I'm sure Uncle Frank didn't mind that I helped out. So, but we went through the full deal, full church service, full cemetery service. We had to take him downstairs because it was an old church, so we didn't have no cart. We carried it by hand, old school, down the stone stairs, and the whole time I'm thinking, please don't drop this. Please don't drop this.
It sounds like a Naked Gun episode.
We had a large. There's still a large Polish part of town where the people go to get their pierogies and everything and stuff. There's still some of the old places aren't still there, but there's still a couple of the stores and delis, or I guess it's not really a deli, but same thing. The meat store.
That's funny.
But yeah, if you went over on, we used to always say, once you get over by Stickney Avenue, that was the Polish part of town, and that's where my grandmother and everybody were all raised. So
yeah. There's, from where I work, there's a Polish deli that's that I go frequent, and it's almost too much food every time you go. It's too much food.
Oh, my grandmother was always, "Are you hungry?
Yeah,
you skin and bones. Oh, yeah. You eat something."
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Good times.
I very much enjoy Polish food. It's amazing. Like I said, it always looks like it should be for the 4th of July, but it fills you up and makes you feel like it's Thanksgiving. It's an amazing cuisine.
So let's get back to Scotland for a moment before we wrap things up.
Stupid Poland. Sneaking into Scottish territories.
They're all part of me. I just picked Scotland because of my last name, so it's my namesake. But I could have done any of the other countries, and I'm sure we will in the future. Trees and I have plans to cover a lot of beasties, a lot of categories, and we don't just cover Bigfoot. We cover all kinds of otherworldly claims. So you never know what's going to come up, and there will be lots of Bigfoot stories too. So
Yeah. Don't have any Bigfoot stories. The only thing I could contribute to that type of thing is it's called skinwalkers.
the skinwalkers, yeah.
I might be able to contribute firsthand stories, potentially.
Well, trees is we're both in Ohio, but Trees is in Squatch area down there in southeast Ohio. So he's a man on the ground. As soon as he gets things taken care of, we're hoping to get maybe some live events he may go to. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Ty. Ty's another fan, and he lives in the area too. So he's keeping his eye out. He heard some noises in the woods the one night, but he turned and ran rather than stop and taking pictures. And I said that was probably a good idea because he didn't have any bear spray on him. And just might be a black bear down there. So, but I told him fall's coming and some of the foliage drops. You'll have a lot better shot at catching a Bigfoot on camera. So
Yeah.
we have folks on the ground. We got cameras. So there's always the hope that they'll get us a good picture.
So here in the Chicago area, we just recently had a bear sighting, a confirmed bear sighting in the Chicago burbs, or maybe the outskirts of the Chicago burbs. And then same thing for a puma. It was actually hit by a car on the interstate about 35 miles from me area.
Yeah, see, generally where I'm at, we don't have a lot of beasties here. We got a lot of deer mostly.
Yeah.
But if you go south, you run into, some larger animals and bears. And if you go farther north, you're going to start running into them again. But here in northern Ohio, we don't have a whole lot. So it's mostly you got to watch out for hitting a deer on the highway.
Yeah, I just totaled, my daughter totaled a car in April. It didn't even look totaled. It just kind of looked like some minor damage. In fact, when the missus called, when I texted the missus and said, hey, it just hit a deer. She's like, is it bad? And I was like, it doesn't look like it's mine. The picture looks like it's only like $3,000, $3,500 of damage, maybe. No, things totaled.
My mother lost a headlight, and it was like $300 some or something to replace that little plastic headlight unit.
We drive BMWs, so.
And my son's car has got, it looks like somebody punched it right there before the hood and just that little bit of nose area. Yeah. I guess it must have kissed it when he hit it. And he was, aware and watching everything, and he goes, man, I didn't even see it, just jumped out, bang, right on the front of my car. It looks like somebody punched it, like got angry and punched his car in a parking lot or something.
No, this one ran into the road and literally charged the car. Jumped into the road and instantly charged the car. So its breast went into the engine. But when you look at the photo, everything had popped back out. That was the plasticky fascia parts. But it basically V'd everything in the front and behind those plastic parts into the engine, and that's how it got totaled.
And that's another possibility in the Loch, because I'm pretty sure they have some kind of deer and everything running around over there too. Yeah. And that's, like I said, a lot of the possibilities of something actually swimming in the water are, sure, a lot of things could be swimming in the water. but is it a marine reptile from 66 million years ago?
Mm-hmm.
That's just not going to happen, because for one thing, like many of the other beasties that we run into, unless they are purely supernatural, you have to have breeding populations. And breeding populations over 66 million years, there should be a lot more Nessies washing up on shore somewhere, and they just aren't.
Yeah. Well, who knows? I wish.
Now there
And
could
here's the
be
thing.
there could be something we don't know what it is coming up out of the bottom of the sea,
Yeah.
and chasing some prey. That's definitely possible, but it hasn't been identified.
Yeah. There's. I can't remember what was his name. What's the famous director that did Titanic? Was it Titanic? Cameron. James Cameron.
James, oh yeah, James Cameron.
James Cameron did an IMAX movie, or a, what's the other Max? There's the one that's shaped like a dome, similar to IMAX. Anyway,
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, the big
there's
fancy theaters.
yeah, it's a theater that's almost shaped more like a teepee or type of thing. And he made a movie called Aliens of the Deep, and basically he's exploring the bottom of the ocean as deep as he could go with a made a movie with basically small submarines and high-tech camera equipment and lighting, and it's pretty impressive what's down there. It's stuff that never sees the lights. I mean, it's so dark down there. Yeah.
But there's always the possibility of unknowns, but it's like anything else. If it's an unknown, then you can't claim it as a known. So like, can't have it both ways.
There's lots of things down there that are living off of the vents that are created by the lava.
Yeah, the worms and
like
the crustaceans and everything.
Like you would think anything, I used to think that pretty much everything relied on some variation of photosynthesis. It maybe didn't need to live off of it, but it certainly survived off of something that did. These things don't need photosynthesis from the sun at all to survive. They are a life force all within themselves. They're mostly a shrimp and crustacean type of beings, like that. But yeah.
Well, they even find, I don't know how complex they are, but they find some kind of little critters in those toxic pools in Yellowstone too. So if there's a niche, something's looking to exploit it.
Yeah. Life is finding a way to exploit it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But as far as Scotland's stories and folklore and mythology goes, there are hundreds of stories. We could have picked from any number of them, and again, we'll quite possibly come back and visit some of Scotland. Scotland has its version of a Bigfoot or a Grassman or a wild man that lives in the Highlands. So we may come back to Scotland. Lots of not only in all 50 states has Bigfoot been spotted, but it's been spotted in a lot of other countries. And we are looking forward to the Hawaii Bigfoot, because we think the Hawaii Bigfoot should be a really interesting one.
I did not know this.
All 50 states, you can spot a Bigfoot. So always keep your eyes out and that camera ready, because you never know.
Does Chicago have a Bigfoot?
Every state. Illinois got Bigfoot.
Illinois. Now, I've hiked
and they will venture near some of the bigger cities. They've been near Cleveland and everything, so they can. You don't have to be hundreds or thousands of miles away in
So, is there a
northern
possibility that
northern America or anything.
Bigfoot wears shoes?
There's been numerous stories about gentlemen that wanted to be left alone, and they would keep people away by putting on some Bigfoot feet and leaving tracks, or if nothing else, to direct the tracks in a direction away from where they are, so they would get the people going the other way. So I can't say for sure. But my honest opinion on Bigfoot tracks is they are bear tracks, because bears step in their own tracks. And if you look at a bear track, it looks a lot like a human foot to a point, because it's a little more, rounded or whatever. But if you get a double step and now you've stretched it out twice, and of course deforming a little bit, you still have the toes and everything. And I have seen bear people show that, yes, a bear will step in its own tracks. And it makes sense, because if you've already stepped there and you didn't step on a thorn or anything, it's a good idea to put your back foot in the same print. It avoids, stepping on something twice.
Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense. I think,
and of course, like Trees said, when they ran into a bear, their first thought was Bigfoot, and for quite a while he thought it was a Bigfoot, until he thought about it enough, and then he said, it's probably a black bear. And again, bless my grandma's heart, or it was a log,
or it was a log.
So,
Yeah.
But one thing I did learn, and this is good advice to anybody that likes to go hiking: black bears do not truly hibernate. So if you're out and a lot of your bears are hibernating, you don't have to worry in the winter. Now with a black bear, you can still run into them. They sleep around, kind of groggy, but they don't truly hibernate, and they do get up and about, and their cubs are up and about. So if you're in bear country, always be mindful of it. Have your bear spray, if I think it's allowed in most places now. Be safe. Don't mess with the bears, okay?
Yeah, I've seen 11 bear when I was a backpacker on the AT. And 2 of them I would consider close. Neither one of them were, serious by any means.
Well, as Trees pointed out, a bear isn't out to kill you. A bear is out to eat you.
Yeah,
and
the black bears.
It won't necessarily kill you before it starts eating you. You'll probably be killed because it's eating you. Yeah. So it's not a good way to go. Like the cats will sneak up behind you and get you by the back of the neck and kill you, right? So you don't live through them eating you. But with a bear, you can live through some of them eating you. So it's not a good way to go.
Usually black bear aren't interested in eating you, but they are. They were all afraid of me, or maybe not afraid, but not interested in hanging around once they knew I was there. So,
and that's generally for most animals. We, even with the sharks and a lot of things, unless they're sick or old, or they just have a reason to, take an easy meal, they really aren't hunting us. I guess from some of the shark attacks, they say that when the shark bites us and realizes how bony we are, they really aren't that interested in eating us.
Oh, so that's funny.
They think that's why a lot, because they bite to sample, right? So a lot of shark bites are, you got taste tested and it didn't like you. That's why you made it.
That's funny. The coy wolves in my area are starting to become quite aggressive, and worrisome, especially with a family dog.
Some of my family was out in the country, and they had to watch the dog and my little nephew in the evenings because of the coyotes running around.
Mm-hmm.
They've really made a comeback in a lot of areas.
Yeah, 10 years ago plus, they were somewhat timid. Didn't like that you would notice that they're around, but now when you notice that they're around, they flip you the middle finger and say, "I'm coming for you."
That's the way the raccoons are in the city here. They've got an attitude. Yeah, they've got no fear. They stand right up on their hind legs, look you right in the eye, and hiss at you. That's like, come on, They don't mess around. They get big and mean in the city here, and they've got the sewers to run around in, so they've got their own transportation, where they don't have to deal with getting hit by cars or anything. They're running underneath the road in the sewers.
And in fact, one of the scariest things I've ever seen was a raccoon with mange emerging from the sewer. That's scary. It's just all kinds of ugly.
Well, and I know they're happy too, because you'll see all the baby raccoon heads popping out of the sewer drain. The curb ones, the curb drains for the sewer.
Yeah.
You see all the faces lined up poking out of that curb there whenever it's baby time of year. But yeah, that's one of the problems we got around here. A couple of the houses, they got up into the attic and whatnot, and had to get trapped, and so it's a real problem. If you've got raccoons in your area, always be mindful of any little damage that you have. Make sure you get it patched right away, because they'll exploit a hole and get right into your attic.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman down the street didn't know until the big stain showed up on her ceiling. So by then,
I have to ask the neighbors.
You've got to replace your ceiling.
Week. I haven't seen them this week, but earlier this week my neighbor across the street was having something removed from their attic.
Possibly.
So
and yeah, I see Nara stopping by. Good to see you. Azo is one of my loyal fans. I appreciate it. Pragmatic Crystal too, always there, always with the like and share and sharing my links and everything. I always appreciate. The Trusty Ape, good to stopping by. And Carrie Ann was here, and Leia was here, and Renee and Obsidian and everybody else. If I missed anybody, I appreciate you stopping by. And everybody that was here earlier too. I saw a lot of people stop by earlier. Again, I apologize that I literally got cut off in mid-sentence. There was a pop and the power was out, and that was all there was to do until the Edison came out and fixed it, and it took them a couple hours. They were real quick. I'm not complaining. They did handle it pretty quick. But unfortunately, my neighbor had an accident and he was injured, and I want to send out best wishes. Hope everything's okay. And when you get better, I'm going to give you a hard time for knocking out my power. And I want to thank Bree too for stepping in earlier. Appreciate it. And I want to thank Tux for joining me for this second part to help me finish up the show, because the show had to go on. I mean, I was committed. I may be committed. I put a lot of effort into it. I wrote up my stories, and I did all 3 stories because Trees was busy with some other stuff. So I was extra busy, and I mixed the video and the bagpipes and everything for the intro. So I hope everybody appreciated that. It's not mine, but I did do all the mixing of it. So, and I had a lot of fun with it. Again, I hear the bagpipes music, and not everybody is a fan. And I understand I wouldn't want to listen to bagpipes music all the time either. But once in a while, it does warm the heart, brings back lots of good memories. And so I had to have some bagpipes music in there. So I hope it was a good selection. I tried to pick one that was a little neutral and not too loud or contrasting. So I hope everybody enjoyed that, and I hope everybody enjoyed the scenery and all the photos. I've learned how to do slideshow, so I'm getting better with that. So maybe next time we can start mixing a little video clips. I like to always add things and try to do a little better. My green screen's looking pretty good. In case anybody hasn't noticed, I've got
Nice.
I got my
amazing.
lighting. I got my lighting pretty good there, so I don't look all half blurry or anything. So, and again, check the ticker below. I want to remind everybody once more, we're giving away a t-shirt, and it's to help celebrate because it's my birthday with the audience. And because we had a glitch earlier, and I'm sorry, once again, it was unavoidable. We were going to do it for 24 hours. But because of that, and because I'll probably edit these videos, we're going to give you a whole week. So you got no excuse, okay? Everybody's got a whole week. You can go and post your answer, and you got no excuse telling me, oh, I didn't get entered to win the t-shirt, because I'm giving you a whole week, okay? And you need to put the name of the Air Force base that Trees mentioned in last month's episode during the Betty and Barney Hill abduction story. And you want to put the name of that Air Force base in the comments section for last month's video, because those comments are all going into a hold and store folder, and we'll select the answers from that. Okay. So put your answer in the comments section for last month's video. All right. Good luck to everybody. Thanks everybody in the chat for joining us. Again, thank you, Bree. Thank you, Tux. I really appreciate it. Always good talking with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll wrap it up. If you got anything else to say, Tux, anything coming on your channel or whatever, go ahead.
I don't have anything planned right now. I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I still have the Catholic versus good and evil on the LGBTQ, trans and pride competition type of thing. Not competition, but sorry, I'm a little tired. And then I had Real Seeker on last week, and the Shroud is one of his fanatical moments. And I've done a lot of research this week since talking to him. And I think I'm going to have another conversation or some variation of a Shroud conversation. And I'm thinking of making it with a touch of humor as well. So we'll see. I might just do it. I might also pre-plan it. Kind of like what you'd said earlier before I came on about, how you kind of envision something and it takes a production value to do it. And you need help with somebody doing it, to kind of help you get that production up. So it's not like I got Lucas. It's not like I got Lucas quality Skywalker and Industrial Light and Magic.
I think Ember put it really well when he was on. I asked Ember, what would be your advice for somebody starting a channel?
Yeah.
And Ember said, just do it. Just do it, man.
Just do it.
Yeah. Your first video is going to be your worst, and then you can only improve. And like Mark Reed was talking about. The more you do, the more you learn, and then the more you'll want to do, because you'll want to do, you learn to use more tools in the editing software. And then, like I was telling Obsidian earlier, you go from rough cuts to a finer cut. You make everything a little smoother. Run your filters through your audio. Take out maybe the dog barking in the background or something. Yeah, and just slowly add those little things in as you go, and just improve your quality. Learn how to do your green screen. I've been making videos for almost a year. I just got around to learning how to do the green screen. So
yeah, I might do the green screen.
it is neat when you get it all. You got to get it lit well, and if you've got it lit well, it works really well. So.
I also have a TV monitor over here, and I've considered putting that behind me instead. But I instead put a snow lamp, or a Christmas lamp. I don't know. You know how it looks like I've got a lit crown?
Mm-hmm. I've got a couple of different lights too.
It's basically this. It's this right here, and then my hillbilly ingenuity. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but
I've seen your lighting before. Yeah.
So this right here, if you can see it. Here, let me put a white screen over here or something. There we go. So there's a little bit of lighting. So this is a tube of Christmas wrapping paper. And my lit crown is this right here.
Ah, that's your holder.
Yeah, that's my holder.
That's your tripod.
Yeah, that's my tripod. To make it look like I've got. Originally, I just wanted this lit up, and the first time I did it, it just looked like there was just one little kind of halo crown behind me. And I was like, wow.
I've got one that's it's the starry night one, so it shines on the ceiling, but when it shines on, if you try to shine it anywhere else, it kind of looks stupid. So
yeah,
but it's neat to watch on the ceiling. So. And I've got a ghost projector too, so I'll one of these days there might be a ghost showing up behind me. We get that working.
Yeah, well, good deal.
But I will link your channel in the description when we get done here. I'll put that in, and everybody go check out Tux. It's always a good time when Tux is on. I always enjoy it when I catch your show.
I enjoy making some of the stuff. I'm not enjoying the Catholic versus Pride trans. It is mentally taxing to see the psychological. It's like being, I don't know how many times you've watched any of the pedophile priest type of documentaries. Mia Maxim Copa. Silence in the House of God, for instance. If you watch that, just imagine being a priest, reporting to the higher ups, and all they do is move the person to another, and they basically keep it quiet because this would look bad. It would make God look bad or something. We've got to do this for God. And to me, the psychological aspects of this has to be a similarity.
Yeah, it's just
it has to be.
It's bad enough when you find a bad apple, but then to cover it up.
The cover-ups, yeah.
Yeah.
The cover-ups, it's the cover-ups. And to me, that moment in which they decided that it's better for God to have a few bad apples, and we're going to protect those bad apples, because if we don't protect them, then it kind of makes us look bad. To me, this is kind of rolling over it. Now we're going to be aggressive because we got caught. We're determined to be better, and we're no longer going to let anything, including gay services, and we're going to badmouth the trans because from my perspective anyway, they see an awful lot, the Catholic Church as a whole sees an awful lot of dissenting Catholics who have jumped ship and gone over to the evangelical side. And I think they're starting to even be evangelicals themselves to try to bring them back. And the power that they possess, that they know they possess, and the psychological systematic testing that they do, I think this is a beginning stage of something bigger. And you're seeing it in their podcasts. You're seeing so many of them saying the same things.
And again, it's the old, oh, look, a squirrel,
Yes.
Don't look what's going on
good.
here.
Yes.
Did you look across the street? Don't look over here. Look across the street. Even though those people across the street are not doing anything. Look at them though. Watch them, because you don't know. Maybe they are doing something. And just in implanting, all that garbage. And again, you've got a lot of nerve. You can't clean your own house.
Yeah,
you've had how long?
Perfect way to put it.
And the sad part is, when I was a kid, I was a little naive, but I always, a nun or a priest was like a respected thing. Somebody dedicating their life. Ministers, everything, that's fine. Rabbis, but a lot of them, they still have day jobs. When you commit, and the vow of poverty, and all the and celibacy, you're really being serious, and then it turns out, there's some of the worst offenders, and it's like, when Jared from Subway got busted, you just feel a little hurt that, you were rooting for these people, hey, you're a great religious person, even if I don't agree, hey, good for you. But no, then you just kind of, you ruin it for everybody that was at least trying to give you some encouragement, and like I say, Jared from Subway, who didn't love Jared, right? What a great story. Lost a bunch of weight, he's exercising, and a great story. And here he's a creep, and it's like, sometimes it's just so disheartening, you take away your heroes, so to speak.
And there's no supernatural being that rights that wrong. There isn't anybody. You can talk about all the miracles, all the people who had stage 4 cancer, went to their doctors, took the chemo, went to their surgery, prayed, and it's a miracle I lived. Well, that's great, but the medical sciences contributed awfully heavily to your survival and its success. But I don't want to take away the power of positive thinking here.
Oh, no.
Now, I do want to equate your experience is if in this world there is a God and he doesn't give us anything that we can't handle, according to the Christian. You can't tell me one single child, no matter what their age is, under the age of 15, 16, you can't tell me that God sends a pedophile. That I don't want to hear the argument about free will, because I don't think it exists. I think if there was a good God, that you would see a righting of the wrongs. And if you have an evil God or a non-existent God, this is what it would look like.
My Polish grandmother that was Catholic, she believed that if you did the deed, a lightning bolt would find you.
Yeah. Well,
And
that sounds
sadly,
more
that
like
doesn't
karma
seem to
than
happen. But
that sounds much more like karma than it does.
well, with all the lightning going off anyway, right?
Yeah, there's
It's not
lightning
like
going on.
God has to go out of its way, it just has to push it over by that person's house,
Yeah, technically, I've been
So,
struck by lightning, but I wasn't struck by lightning. There was lightning in the area, and it traversed through whatever was wet and just kind of connected to wet wood, and I felt it. I didn't get struck by lightning. I just felt a little tingle because it conducted.
I had a near miss when I was a gas jockey. I
Ooh.
came in one morning and the whole place was tore apart, and it's like, what's going on? The canopy got hit by lightning. It blew all the boards out. It literally blew all the control boards out of the box in the back room. Just literally blew them out of their connectors.
Oh, wow.
And so it was a good thing I was working the day shift and not the night shift. But, yeah, luckily everything's grounded and the gas station doesn't blow up. So, but it did, it screwed up all the electronics. So everything was down, most of the day. I didn't have much to do. And of course, people are rolling in. Well, can't I get gas anyways? It's like, no, everything, all the electronics is fried. They got to put all new stuff in.
Yeah.
Well, don't the pumps work anyway? No, no, it's all toast. The magic smoke escaped.
The magic smoke escaped. That's funny.
All right, well, I'm gonna wrap things up, Tux.
All
I'm gonna
right.
go have my cake. I haven't had my cake yet, so I'm gonna go enjoy a piece of chocolate cake.
Ooh, yum! I had banana pudding, banana pudding cake tonight. It was really good. By the way, I just noticed
my son
that,
got it for me. So,
and this is the first time I've noticed it. Maybe it's been here before, but it says up at the top, "Stream this to your audience," so I can add my channel to this if I ever join again.
Yeah, I leave that up.
You?
Yeah, I leave that setting open. So,
yeah, I'm a Restream user instead of StreamYard.
Yeah, but I've got the settings. So, yeah, if mental note, if we do something again, yep, you can go right to your channel.
How about that?
I had it set up with to do with trees, but trees was running through a device that couldn't use it. So, but it is set open. So yeah, anybody else too, if you're on, you just go ahead and click the restream. It'll work if you're on my show.
Huh? How about that? Look at that. All right, I just set it up. I'm not going to add it to my channel right now, but it's connected to my channel. I don't think.
Yeah, hopefully. And every time you pop on, it should ask you. So
yeah. How about that? I love it. I've been swimming in raw sewage, and I love it.
I want to thank everybody again for joining me, and thank you, Tux, for helping me finish out the show. The show must go on, and what better way to have Mr. Bowtie himself to help me make sure that the show went on. So, and again, I will see you in 1 week, and maybe Trees will be here. We'll hope, and we will have a drawing. I'll have a live stream, and we'll have a little fun, and we'll announce the winner of the shirt. Okay, so everybody get out there, get your answers put in. Good luck, and all hail Bigfoot. See you next time, everybody.
Bowtie bless.